Alright, guys, welcome to one of my biggest lives. And today I will show you some of my tricks and you know some of my tricks that I use on multiplayer. And actually, I will guide you. I will try to guide you as long as I can through the part list and give you the valuable information you're going to need if you're planning to play multiplayer. Alright, let's start. Alright, right now so far I have 14 aircrafts, and all of them actually are specific, set up in a way you're going to close a room if you are good enough. Me personally, I'm not so good that I can close a room, but I do what I can to have, a great time with players all around the world, and at the same time, I try to close the room if I can. Alright, we have F-16C, MiG-31B, Su-30M2, and let's start with the M2. Alright, this is the little brother of the Su-30SM, and what I want to talk about is the way that I used to set up this plane in the past. Back at the day when I was first starting to fly this aircraft specific, I wasn't so good with my flying style, and I try the universal setup that the most people try out there. I went with new flaps actuator level 3 and superior level 2, and I guess, I'm not sure, I have light blisk too. And after that I changed my entire style, and I use only what is necessary in order to make the aircraft effective. And one other thing that I don't like and I don't want is to have an accidentally post-holes during the fight, because this is one of the main issues you can easily get yourself killed, is to have an accidentally post-hole. So in order to prevent that, I choose to go with next gen high pressure component that makes your engine more powerful, and at the same time, even if it's not showing on the graph on the specifications here, you see the mobility stays the same, but in reality your mobility changes when you add this part. So I'm pretty sure that the most people out there may not know it, but there are others they don't. But yeah, now you know it. Next gen, it's going to affect your mobility also. Alright, next we have the bulletproof. Bulletproof is one of the key parts you need in order to stay alive as long as you can, because you only have 5 minutes, and those 5 minutes are actually valuable. Alright, every time you go down and you need to wait 5 to 7 seconds, I'm not sure, depending, in order to come back to the match. Someone else probably is going to change the leaderboard for you. So this is why I use bulletproof in everything I have. Alright, the next part is the multi-purpose stealth coating. Alright, so what this part does actually, this part actually can do two things. The first is that it's going to help you prevent the missile they have lock on you, and especially in close ranges, and it works most of the time for radar missiles and sometimes for seekers too, but just keep in your mind is more for radar missiles like 4s, 6s, and high capacities. The other thing that it does, it, it is it will not give your position in the map if you are, let's say that you are far away from the others. Let's say that you are, if you're using metric system, let's say that you are 5 kilometers away from someone, there's a great chance that his radar is not going to give your position. This is the other thing that this part does. It's useful. If you can use it, yeah, I will definitely recommend this. Let's go to the firepower. High power enhanced cells, it actually improves your firepower in your conventional bullets. Alright, now I see a lot of people, they carry this thing but they're not able to use their gun during the match. So if you're not good with guns, don't use it. It's a waste of time. Alright, so the next part, it gives you greater distance for your machine guns, and this actually, the concentration, what it does, it's going to, let's say, it's going to fix your aim. All right, it's going it's going to concentrate your fire in front of your aircraft, and you have a greater chances to get a kill or get a hits. Alright, directional proximity fuse. We all know what this part does. It actually improves your standard missile power. And this is actually one of the most important things. If you can use it, you need to use it, because when you use proximity to your standards, most of the time, if you fire 2 standard missiles in someone that does not carry a bulletproof, probably this guy is dead. Alright, now high energy propellant, it's going to increase the standard missile flight speed, but I'm not going to use it. I don't use it in generally, and I don't recommend it, because the standard missiles, they're not able to perform good if they're going fast. Alright, this is why we avoid this part. And thrust adjusting steering device, it's like you turning the standard missile into an AIM-9X sidewinder. It's like you're flying with quams. I call them mini quams. So if you wish to have a deadly missile that's going to do the job for you, thrust adjusting and proximity fuse are the 2 things you need to have first. Now, let's say you have a ramjet. Alright, ramjet actually, it's going to give your missile more time in the air. It's like you have more fuel on your missiles. Yeah, it's going to help you a lot. In some situations, they are great. And what I actually recommend, if you play a cold matches, yeah, this part is actually one of the best choices you can have in your missile, because let's say you try to fight against 2 or 3 guys at the same time, alright, because it's a battle royale and everyone out there is trying to defend himself. If the missile can stay longer time in the air instead of, short period of time, you actually have more chances to kill someone, or just kick him away from you in order to leave you space to move on. Alright, this is why I use this part. It's going to give you a hard time to avoid a missile if you have this part. Alright, now electronic optical hybrid system. This is actually one of the coolest part you can use. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not going to do anything, but it depends the situation. So what this actually part does is it's going to increase your lock-on range. Right, let's say that the missile is going to get a lock from, you know, from zero to 500 or something in metric unit, right? If it's going to be in miles, I think it's probably the half, I'm not sure. And it's going to increase that lock-on range about, I think it's going to give you, the level 1, it's going to give you something to 10 to 15% more lock-on distance, and I think level 2 is going to give you almost 30%. Alright, what it's going to help your missile actually, it's going to help your missile actually accelerate, because when you give the missile the space to develop, let's say, all right, let's say that you fire a missile and the missile have more time in order to go through the target. It's going to build up speed. It's going to build speed, all right, and the missile now is coming faster. So sometimes it's good, sometimes it's not going to help at all. It's, you know, it's something you need to decide what it's going to do. All right. So multiple enemy detection is actually, it's going to give you the next missile. It's going to, you know, it's going to make your missiles reload faster. This actually is one of the best parts you can use. Yeah, sometimes I use it too, but you know, depending the situation. In Battle Royale, I don't use it because every move I make, I try to calculate it in order when I turn to have the missile ready before I fire it. So I don't use this part. Sometimes I use it in cold matches, but the most of the case I don't use it anymore. Infrared secure cooling system. All right. This part is one of the most important parts. What actually does this part, it's going to give your missile a lock extremely quick, and the lock is not going, the missile is not going to lose the lock easily. Right, so if you have this part and you have a close encounters and everyone is, you know, putting pressure on you, and you have this part, actually this part can help you in these situations, right? Because most of the time we try to avoid the hunters, let's say, and when we try to fire a missile, it happens to us to lose the lock and the missile is going blind and, you know, nothing happens. So yeah, if you have space and you can use this part, it's going to help you. And I will show you one of my aircraft that I use this part all the time. So the same goes for the specials, all right? Let's talk about the 4 AAM's missiles. 4s and 6 is actually the same, but the 4s have greater homing and better reloading, all right? These missiles actually loves the aircraft that try to move fast with slow speeds. What does mean? What does that mean? It means that if you run, let's say, light blisk, new flaps, and superior, now your aircraft it's a beast actually, all right, on slow speeds. This missile actually can move extremely faster than your aircraft can move in slow speeds, and this is where you're going to get yourself killed by this missile, all right? This missile loves the aircraft. They try to move fast, but they haven't built speed yet, all right? So you need to be careful when someone at you is going to fire a 4 AAM missile. Now, one other thing that the force, how the force work, right? Force actually, they love to go fast. If you, you need to decide what you need to do. All right, this is a build. This build is a hybrid. Actually, you can bring it most of the time battle royale, but if you're a good pilot, you can use it the way it is. You can use it in 1v1. I've done it before so many times, and depending who you face to, you know, it's going to work sometimes, and other times not going to work. But it's okay. All right, just build what you think that it's going to work. I'm just here to explain you the science behind the parts and, you know, guide you. And I'm going to play 1 or 2 games, and I will try to guide you through the game as I play. All right. So for the specials, I always go with directional, proximity fuse, and trust adjusting. Now, one other thing, data link. All right, data link uses this. It says that it increases the standard missile's homing capabilities and speed. The standard missile lock-on distance and flight distance is increased. All right, so it refers to your standards, your QAMs, your multi-standards, and ADMMs. All right, and I'm not sure, but there's a quite chance it's going to work in the SAM missiles. All right, semi-active air-to-air missiles, SAAM. All right, so if you have this part, the missile it's going to loop around and search for the target again. But in order to do that in an efficient way, you need to have trust adjusting at least. And if you wish to finish the guy, use proximity fuse. All right, if you have those 2 parts and you have the data link, it's like you fly with mini QAMs every time you bring standards, regardless your special weapon. All right, so this is why I use this part in every aircraft I build, and I think it's one of the basic if you wish to make a good scores. All right, regardless if you're going to lose or win, doesn't matter, but if you wish to make a good scores, you need to have parts that are going to be effective in a fight. Right, and try to think outside the box. You need to fight in a way that it's going to be efficient. Don't try hard, just follow the flow. Right, if you see the guys out there, they're going to move fast. All right, just try to move fast with them, but don't try to outrun them or, you know, push yourself hard. Try to search for weak points and you know, work with the weak points everyone has, and just try to find a plan to kill them. All right, MiG-31B. You know, a lot of my friends, they say that they love to see me flying this aircraft, and I haven't done any video yet with this one, but I like to show you some cool things about this aircraft. All right, why I use next-gen high-pressure components in aircraft that's already fast enough? The answer is that, you know, the power it's going to give you, it's going to enhance your mobility, as we said before, and in combination with flaps only, pitch flaps only, for greater nose authority, it's going to give this aircraft an awesome results. It's going to perform awesome. All right, so this is why I use those two. And the reason why I don't go with superior maneuverability, or, you know, just to make this aircraft to be a hyper maneuverable aircraft or something, for its class at least, because it's not. This aircraft is actually pretty big, and it's hard to recover every time you try to roll it fast or move around fast. Right, you need to have a specific, let's say you need to have a specific momentum. Right, if your momentum is too big, you actually find yourself in danger to lose your aircraft. So we don't want that. We try to keep things in balance, and try to have a plan in order to fight, right? And what I want to show you is that sometimes you don't need to have a superior aircraft. You can make a good scores with just a simple aircraft like this, right? And let's go to the parts. All right, we have next gen, flaps, and bulletproof, as I said before. Now we don't have multi-purpose stealth coating on this one because I choose to go in something different. All right, let's go to the interesting part. We have directional proximity fuse. We have ramjet propulsion in order to keep the missile longer in the air. Believe me, this aircraft is fast enough. If you fire a missile at Mach 2 and the missile keep going around, probably it's going to get a hit or kill. So you need to be aware of, right? Thrust adjusting, as we said before, an infrared seeker in order to not lose the lock, because I know that if someone tried to sneak behind me, yeah, the chances to kill me, they're pretty high, all right? Because this aircraft is not meant to be a dogfighter. Regardless if I'm trying to dogfight with it, it's not a dogfighter, right? And as we say, high-speed data link. Now let's go to the LAM missile, long-range air-to-air missile. All right. I'm pretty sure that some of you, they might have seen one of my videos there. I'm on F-14 or my Su-35 and I managed to perform an PSM kill with this kind of missile, with a LAM missile. Yeah, it's extremely hard to do that, but if you practice that, yeah, you can do this. So the reason why I'm not using any part to this missile, because this missile is meant to be for interceptions, all right? This missile cannot loop around or do anything. It flies only straight and it works only if you are extremely fast. I mean, let's say that you fly a Darkstar with Mach 3 or 4 and someone fires this kind of missile at you. Yeah, the way you're moving with a Darkstar, it's the same way actually this missile moves. This is why you get killed. You get yourself killed if you are a Darkstar and someone else is going to fire this missile. All right. Now, let's build something real quick. I don't want to use anything of my standard aircrafts in order to give you some accurate informations, all right? So I will try to make something. Let's pick all right, let's fly this one. The Japanese F-16. Let's change the weapon. We will go into 6s and let's go to the parts. All right. Let's say that this kind of delta wing design, I'm not sure how to say that. All right. So those kind of aircraft like this design actually loves the powerful engines. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do next gen high pressure components because I need more speed on this one. And variable cycle engine, I'm sorry guys, I didn't tell you what this part does. Actually, the only thing that this part does, it gives you the power instantly in different ways of your power band. All right. What? Let's try to explain this. All right. Let's say that you have an aircraft, and your aircraft accelerates smoothly, right? And as you accelerate, you build up speed. So if you have variable cycle engine, it's going to improve your acceleration at the given speed, but because sometimes this happens too fast, you might have hard time to control your aircraft. So you need to take your time and learn how to fly with variable cycle if you wish to use this part. Alright, and I'm going to go with pitch flaps level 3, and now it's time for me to decide if I'm going to bring 4 parts or 3 parts, and because I'd like to use bulletproof, I'm going to use 3 parts for my missiles. Alright, in this situation right now, I'm not going to use proximity fuse, I'm only going to use thrust adjusting, and I'm going to use directional proximity fuse for the specials and thrust adjusting for the specials, alright? And combine this with coupling, it's going to make this aircraft deadly. I like this blue, so let's keep it. And I don't know, not this one. Yeah, I'm going to keep this one, and I'm going to keep it only in my nose. Alright, let's use this nickname. It's kind of funny, this nickname, Next Generation Devil. I mean, yeah, this aircraft is extremely improved right now. This version, actually. Alright, let's give it a shot. I don't know if you guys happen to saw the last live. Actually, it was yesterday for you. It was the day for me because, you know, I'm 10 hours ahead from US. Let's go here. So yeah, we have some cool matches with OSD and ISBRO, and I try to make some funny, let's say, you know, some funny setups, and I try to use some of my extreme setups that I have. And what I noticed is that sometimes it's not going to work if you have extreme setups. This is why I told you that, you know, you need to go with the flow and don't try hard, because sometimes when you bring an extreme setup in a room that the setups are average, regardless the flying style of each player out there, I'm talking specific about the setups, it's not going to work. Alright, let's go there. What happened today? Alright, we managed to. You know, I use this CFA 44 for AML practice. It's going to help you a lot with your XO2 if you use specific the CFA 44, because I think it's the hardest plane to use with AML, and it takes time and precision. But yeah, if you wish to dominate with XO2, I definitely recommend you to start play with the CFA 44 and AMLs. Alright, we have 2 minutes. I'm not sure how it's going to perform, but let's try it. I'm sure that you notice that I don't have musical radars anymore, because I like to have my screen name and no notifications, so it's open or something.
Missile. 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 Missile.
Nice. Alright. Do you know how to avoid quams? Quams can be evaded. You can be evaded if you are go slow. You need to go slow enough because quams actually love fast like that.
Missile. Missile.
Alright.
Missile. 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 Missile.
Nope.
Missile.
You see? It's not going to work.
Missile. Missile.
You're moving fast.
Missile. 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 Answer 0.
Alright, let's see the now. You know, sometimes it's not bad to try experiment with different setups. I mean, just try to not stuck with the leaderboard, and you know, it's okay. If you win, you win. If you lose, you lose. It's not about the winning. It's all about learning, right? Because if you're able to learn things and adapt yourself with different situations and player, because all those things you see out there, they take time. It takes time to get used to each player, how it performs, you know, in order to know how to counter that. It's going to help you, right? It's going to help you improve your skills, and believe me, you're going to dominate, all right? So what I do, I try to read people, to learn from people, and you know, just search for the opportunity. When you have the chance out there, just fire. Don't think, just do. All right. All right. Let's try it again. So keep in your mind, guys, that each aircraft requires different setup in order to performs the same. Let's say that you have an Su-35 and Su-35 and Su-30SM, all right? Those two aircraft actually pretty much the same, but they have some differences. They're going to change their entire game. Change their entire game. All right. Guy here.
Missile. 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 Missile.
As long as you fly close to the opponent who carries bombs, it's actually more hard for him to kill you. Just keep in mind. Alright, he lost all of his energy. Why? Because this is what I'm talking about before. Oh, and I'm stupid too. Because I try to stack with him and the other guy kills me. Yeah, but you know, what I want to tell you is that you need to combine speed parts with mobility parts for more dynamic,
Caution.
you know, in order to have more dynamic setup. Because when you have an aircraft that is too maneuverable, you have a great chance to lose your speed and just die. One, two,
Missile. 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 Missile.
this is such a fight.
Missile. Missile.
You see, they're actually flying fast. Yeah, they fly fast. So
Missile. Missile.
this is what I'm talking about. About slow, follow the flow, don't try to outrun them, you know.
Missile. Stall warning. Ammunition zero. Ammunition zero.
Right, now we are out of specials and we're going to end this fight with only side bombers.
Missile.
You know, there's a lot of people out there that rely only on specials, but actually I don't rely anywhere. I try to fight with everything I got. Right? It's not wrong. I mean, you know, each person is different. Some people they like to fight with specials, others they like to go with soldiers, or you know, you can be in the middle like me. I like to do everything. Oh, that was a great sense for a gun kill, but I lost it because I'm coming too fast. Yeah, definitely. You see, not bad at all. It's a good score. I mean, look at the average score and look at the first. Yeah, that was good. All right, now I will bring one of my dominate planes, and I will. All right, yeah, I will show you one of my dominant planes, and actually it's a ADF-11 with TLS. More about this aircraft in a while. Let's play this game. So ADF 11 is actually the first DLC plane ever released by Nemco with this game, and you know, it's a cool plane to fly, but the most people out there, they don't know how to fly it, and you know, they're getting only the UAVs or Quams, and you know, there are other people out there, they seen these players, those kind of players, and they getting angry every time they see them. So I will I will show you some of my tricks that I use to fly this aircraft. It's a tricky aircraft to fly, but if you learn how to fly, it's one of the coolest aircraft, believe me. Alright, first of all, this aircraft loves speed, right? It's not meant to be for low speed fights. It's not going to perform good. Second thing, the lasers are extremely powerful with this one. You can get the damage with the lasers, right?
Stall warning. Stall warning. Missile. Missile.
You see? It's hard. It takes time. I have 1,000 flights with it. I think 1,000 something. But I have so many shutdowns aircraft. And it's so
Missile. Stall warning. Stall warning. Stall
careful
warning.
the sixes. The sixes in close distance, like
Missile.
this, are extremely deadly. I barely avoid this missile. I almost kill myself there.
Stall warning. Missile. Stall warning. Missile. Stall warning. Stall warning. Missile. Stall warning. Missile.
Alright, let's get out there before I die. I need to pick
Missile.
up speed.
Ammunition zero.
Maybe if I get lucky.
Missile.
So the F-18 carries CML, so we need to be pretty easy to kill us because the plane I fly right now, it's a big plane, right? And, yeah, this is the plane that the snipers love actually to shoot down because it's too easy to get the team. And yes, then we kill them is because it's big.
Missile. Missile. Missile.
Oh, I think that. Sorry about that. Yeah, that was a good kill. Let's finish the job. TLS actually is hard to use, but it's extremely accurate weapon and you know good at the same time. It's not so lethal like the EML,
Missile. Missile.
but you can
Missile. Missile.
but for sure you can cause good damage.
Missile. 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 Missile.
Oh, that was a bad move out there. I shouldn't make this, you know, negative G dive. So actually, when you perform a negative G dives, you can have the chance to kill someone because it's faster to roll your aircraft in turn, you know. But if your aircraft
Missile.
is not performing good negativity dive,
Missile.
it's more easy for you to get yourself killed from the arrows. Oh, nice. Alright. Yeah. Yeah. That was crazy. Yeah, that was a crazy fight. That was a crazy fight, yeah. That was a crazy fight for sure. Alright guys, I have time for one last more and I will see you in the next one. So let's talk about the Raven for a couple of seconds. Let's take a minute here. Alright, because this aircraft it's extremely maneuverable from factory, you can do many things. But I will show you one of my ways. I use next-gen high-pressure components. This aircraft also loves the variable cycle because of its thrust vectoring system. And I go with new flaps actuators. Now, this setup is specific for the TLS because the superior actually it's going to give you a hard time to stabilize your plane before you fire. And we have thrust adjusting, laser beam expander for more damage range, and TLS power and all that stuff, of course, with data link. Right, let's go to this one. Now this is the stealth version of XO2. It's like you fight the XO2 from Ace Combat 4 Operation Katsina or the Ace Combat 5 when you're going to face 4 XO2s at the end of the arcade mode in Operation Katsina. They're actually likely, they're not so dominate, but in reality they are extremely hard to intercept them because they fly in fast and it's like it's meeting you. Maybe this guy's dead. Why you leave those guys? I mean, if someone is dead why don't you move them? Alright, this is where you need sidewinders.
Caution. Pull up.
Alright. Yeah. it's going to be more easy.
Missile. Star warning. Missile. 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 Missile.
Oh, that was done. Should have done that. You see, this is why you need to be careful when you turn your bot into other player, you know? Don't turn your bot into the opponents. You're not sure you're going to make that
Missile. Missile. Missile.
Now again, this version of Excel 2 is not something special. It has a lot of weaponry systems, but
Pull up.
the body pretty much stops a lot of things.
Missile. Ammunition zero. Missile. Missile.
Alright. Now when you see someone move like that, it's time to switch to sidewinders instead of specials because they move in extreme fast and the force they're not going to see them. It's hard to keep in the force. So you need to use sidewinders.
Missile. 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 Ammunition zero. Caution. Missile. Missile. Caution. Pull up. Missile. 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 Stall warning.
Yeah, that was a good one. Alright. Before I leave and close this live, let me show you something that I use with my XO2 and the same weapon but different body setup that it's going to make a huge difference in gameplay. Yeah, that was definitely a good fight. Alright, so the parts that I use for this one was only variable cycle for the body. Yeah, I know it's kind of crazy, but let's try to make something different. Let's remove this one and this one also is a good part because it's going to help you get a lock into the clouds. Yeah, sometimes I use it, sometimes not, but let's try something different for this one. And we're going to go with this one, streets from. Alright, you see, light blisk, it's going to enhance your acceleration because it actually use lighter parts for your engine. It's going to affect your maneuverability and your speed also. So we're going to use those three parts. All right, those three parts combined together, they give in this aircraft specific and stunning performance results. All right. Now the reason that I, try to explain you the different specification of each part and how they combine together is because when two aircrafts have the same specifications, because the most players out there, they try to build an aircraft that it's going to be a dominate, and they actually ended up getting themselves every time killed and not making good scores because there's a lot of misinformation out there. All right, so the reason I'm doing this is because I try to give you a different kind of ideas you can use in order to make an aircraft fit your playstyle. And look how fast this aircraft accelerates. This aircraft loves the speed, definitely. Alright. So one other reason why I don't use ailerons for better load and I only use its flaps for nose authority has to do with the postcode, first of all, and the second one because the gun sight. I just want to pull lead of my aircraft and to make the same gun kill.
Missile. Missile. Missile.
It's extremely fast right now and move extremely quick.
Pull up. Missile. 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 Ammunition 0.
Oh, we don't have any close left.
Missile. 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 Ammunition 0. Missile. 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 Stall one. Missile. 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 Missile.
You see momentum based in so low. So this is why you need engine power. That's why we try to combine things together and not get stuck with superior maneuverability because it's more, you have more chances to get yourself killed if you're stuck in slow speed fights. If you bleed out your energy and you have nothing left, you are not able to escape.
Missile. 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 Ammunition 0. Missile. 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 Missile.
Now, one thing I want to tell you guys that those mods
Stall warning.
you see right now in the core, it's extremely hard to learn. It took me, I think, 1 year of playing one-to-one random player, and most of the time I pick players that I know that I can beat them because, you know, they are laces, right?
Missile.
If you like to improve yourself, you know, if you like to get better, you need to train with people that are extremely better than you. So this is why I chose to train myself with places that I'm not able to win because, you know, they make you better. Yeah, that was a good one. My final thoughts for this game. I love to play this game. I like to have the conversations I have with my friends and interacting with people, you know, but at the end of the day it's just a game. Don't, you know, don't try to get the things hard if you see someone flies only one aircraft, or, you know, I mean, I know that the most people out there try to accusing the ADF players that they don't know how to fly, but, you know, at the same time there are a lot of people out there that are playing only with F-22 and Su-35, you know, and they're not using any other aircraft. Oh, let's try to 1v1 this guy just for one game only. Just give me a second. Right, yeah, this guy is a cool guy. Alright. I will try the Su-30SM. Yeah, Su-30SM. Now, this aircraft is one of my favorites. I've managed to close a lot of rooms with this aircraft specific, and I love to fly this aircraft. And this is the proof actually that you don't need to have a superior aircraft in order to perform, you know, to perform good and have a good scores or even wins. And oh, by the way, my aircraft specific it's a Battle Royale Su-30. It's not 1v1. I don't have the parts that this guy have. This guy is extremely good with 1v1. And, you know, it's hard to kill him in 1v1.
Stall warning.
Alright. What will we try?
Stall warning. Stall warning. Stall warning. Missile.
Yeah, this guy is extremely good with this.
Stall warning.
So we need to be careful. Ooh, nice. That was close.
Stall warning. Missile. Stall warning. Missile. Missile.
Yeah,
Missile.
this guy is good.
Stall warning.
if I didn't have bulletproof on this one, probably right now I ended up either dead
Star
or
warning.
with 90% damage
Missile.
because his sixes actually they have proximity fuse, so double damage.
Missile. Star warning. Star warning. Missile. Star warning. Missile.
That was a bad decision that I make. So this is what I'm talking about. All right, this guy knows how to fly without even trying. This is what I said earlier. Go with the flow. Don't try to outrun anything. And this is actually what takes time and patience. You need to be patient. Have patience in order to be good with that. Now, at the end of the day, it's not about winning or losing. It's all about learning. Even if you don't win, there's nothing wrong with that. There's always someone else who's going to be better than you than anybody. But the thing is to have a great time and try to learn from experienced players and try at the same time to be innovative. Just be you at the end of the day.
Star warning. Star warning. Star warning.
Sometimes
Missile.
the sixes do this thing.
Missile.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but this missile actually turns around and hit him. Yeah, sometimes it happens, but not all the time. It's hard for the sixes to perform like that kind of maneuver. But yeah, it's possible to perform this maneuver. Man, that was a nice kill. Yeah, this guy definitely is a good player, and it's amazing. One of the greatest players. So what I want to say that it doesn't matter if you are good in 1v1 or battle royale. Just try to improve yourself every time, and try to enjoy the game and make friends, no enemies. Right? Yeah, that wasn't bad. I mean, we managed to survive against this guy for a couple minutes, and he able to get 2 kills, and yeah, that was a good fight. Yeah, that's this guy is it's an ace. Yeah, I respect that. All right. So before I close this live, let's take a look at my on my setup for the SU-30SM. Light Blisk and next gen high pressure components. Whoa, surprised, right? Extremely different setup, I mean, nothing. No flaps, no superior, no nothing. So yeah, bulletproof, as we said before, it follows me everywhere. I never leave an aircraft without bulletproof. And the rest of the aircraft, it's firepower. You know. Now again, you can use a lot of different setups depending of what you're doing, but you know, I try to have an aircraft that it's capable of anything, and depending only on my skills or anyone else's skills. All right. So in the past, I used aircrafts that are extremely maneuverable and they didn't have space for weapons, and actually that was a bad decision after back at the time. That was a bad decision because back at the day, that was extremely. I wasn't so good with this game. I didn't understand the science behind it. Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this game, it's not a simulation. It's not simulation. It's all about arcade, but there's some parts actually that they still have science behind. So let's take a look to the two Ravens. This aircraft you didn't see actually, this one. So this one has variable cycle level 2 and superior level 2. But why? This aircraft flies with quams, not with TLS. So we don't care a lot if this aircraft is going to move around, because we need to have a little bit of maneuverability, right, in order to avoid enemy fire. But we have we have 4 spaces for weapons, and what I did actually, I used thrust adjusting for my quams and takeoff weight, 8 missiles more, and trust adjusting level 2 and level 1, because the game, it doesn't let you, it won't let you to bring on this aircraft specific a lot of weaponry, because you see this aircraft, you saw out there, this aircraft it's dominated. I mean, there's a reason after all why this aircraft came with TLS and UAVs and not with 6s and high capacities. I mean, just take a minute and try to imagine an ADF-11 with 6s or 4s or hyper velocities. I mean, that actually, it's going to be like, it would be it would be impossible to beat this aircraft, right? So in order to encounter that and make it more comparable to the other players, they use low valuable aircraft. They think to give this aircraft those kinds of weapons. And no, the same goes with Su-57 and the 5th gen. The 5th gen actually, I think, is the T-50, the prototype, because if you take a closer look to those two aircrafts, they are actually exactly the same, but some minor differences, and it kind of reminds me of the T-50, But again, because those aircrafts are for battle royale and not 1v1, I try to have more dynamic. You know, I have to. I try to create a more dynamic setup, because at the end of the day, when you are out there and there's, let's say, 6 to 8 people, you don't have time to 1v1 them, so you don't need parts for 1v1. But the reason that I do 1v1s with battle royale parts is actually one of my testings that I do a lot. if this aircraft with parts for battle royale specific can survive against someone who flies a 1v1 aircraft, yeah, if you can survive, you can do, you can cause severe damages to the battle royale players and make good scores. This is why I do this, right? if if I like to, you know to go with 1v1 setup and try to prove myself and be the best version of myself I can be, yeah, actually I will make a 1v1 setup and I go to fight with it, but it's not, this is not my plan, right? My plan is to go against players that I know that are extremely hard to kill, and probably the most of the time they're far better than me, and I try to work with my setups with them, right? Because I know they're going to give me hard time to kill, and the most of the time I will try to survive instead of have a kill or winning. And actually, pretty much this is it. All right. So there is a lot of parts that I didn't cover on this live, but I promise I will do it. I will do this on another live. All right. But for now, take it easy, take care, and at the end of the day, just try to make a setup that it's going to work for you, and don't care about the scores. All right, it's just a game, and it takes time. Oh, one thing I want to show you, one last thing, I promise. This is last. This is my last thing. So I have a lot of sorties with any aircraft. I mean, yeah, definitely not a lot. There's people out there, they have more sorties than that I have, but I try to fly anything it flies in order to have a different angle of of looking. So this is all my aircrafts. Oh, the ADF-11 has 568 kills, sorties, I'm sorry, and 6,000 kills. And the ADF-01 Falcon has only 382 and 1,000 kills, 134. So yeah, one thing I want to show you, something cool. Remember that I told you earlier about the EML practice with the CFA? Let's take a look to the CFA 44. It has only 365 sorties, and we have 1,444 kills. But let's take a look to the guns. I mean, yeah, to the weapons, sorry. Take a look at the ADMMs. I only have 334 ADMM kills, and I have 3,585 EMLs. So what does that tell me is that the most kills that I have with the CFA 44 came from the standards and the EMLs. And I think this is impressive because, if you learn how to use the EMLs on the CFA 44, you're probably going to dominate with the XO2. And I'm closing to the 7,000 gun kills. Yeah, I like the guns so much, and every time I have the chance, I try to perform a gun kill for sure. And my main weapons are 4s and 6s, and I try to play with the other aircrafts and the other weapons. I'm sorry, like HPAA, HVAA. I'm good with LAMs actually, and I try to be good with SAMs. I only have 112 kills, and you can see the TLS. I'm pretty good with TLS. I have 1000 kills with TLS. And as you can see, I only have 243 UAV kills. That means that I don't use UAVs. I have a lot of pulsar kills, but they count as a gun because it's the standard gun of the ADF-11. Alright guys, I hope to see you on the next one. Thanks for joining me and take care.